the argument was she's a strong candidate. I think the argument was, I mean, there was also a very powerful anti-Donald Trump part of it.
Of course.
But the New York Times has endorsed Hillary Clinton in the past too. She was a U.S. Senator from New York, so I think it was a pro-Hillary Clinton endorsement.
In a very strange way, this election's obviously been challenging and testing for everybody and for her.
Yeah.
But I wonder whether she's come through it rather untested on issues, for example, of policy, because there hasn't really been much chance to have that debate. Is that true?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think one of the biggest downside of this sort of sometimes comic campaign we've had with Donald Trump as sort of almost like a comic book figure is that not only have we tried to write about policy, but the debates have not focused so much on policy, and I don't think people have gotten to test them on everything from what they would do about Syria, what they would do about healthcare in the United States. I think there's been so much comic relief that we haven't heard enough from them.
What does Hillary stand for? Do you know, I'm hard-pressed to answer. It really does feel like we've barely spoken about her for the last year.
I think if you look at, and I actually covered the Clintons a little bit in Arkansas as a reporter, and if you look at Hillary Clinton, she's a moderate Democrat. She's strong on national defense. She might even be stronger on national defense than Barack Obama. She's probably more likely to intervene abroad than Barack Obama was. She did vote to intervene in Iraq. I think she's moderate on social issues. I think she's a moderate Democrat who, by the way, is going to have to struggle to hold on to that because she defeated an extraordinarily liberal opponent. Yeah. And as Joe pointed out, and I think he's right, the supporters of Bernie Sanders will not be happy if Hillary Clinton gets up and introduces your standard American cabinet of middle-aged guys who work for think tanks in Washington.
Now, obviously, there are a lot of people who think that she's corrupt, she's venal, she takes money for this and that. The email scandal has had an enormous amount of play, hasn't it? Yeah. And she's apologised and she's been taken through to task on that. The one that perhaps is more questionable is the foundation. She's the Secretary of State, she's running for president, she's running around to foreign leaders, taking their money for her charity. Now, it's not for her own benefit. Is that not a bit weird?
I actually think the email scandal which we actually broke, was more indicative of the questions people have about Hillary Clinton. Because I don't think she did anything corrupt. I don't think she did anything illegal. But she's a very secretive person. And the Clintons, when they controlled the White House, were very secretive, suspicious of the people around them. And I gotta think that that was part of the calculation when she wanted to have her own email server. I actually don't think much has been proven about the Clinton Foundation. It's unlike Donald Trump's. It's a large, actual gift-giving foundation. I do think there's evidence that she used her position to help raise money for the foundation. But I actually think, in a weird way, the email scandal is worth chewing over for people. It's not one we should pass over.
Have you been a bit soft on her, do you think, at the New York Times because she's against Donald Trump?
No, we actually broke the email scandal and, in fact, was roundly criticized by her and her people. We've written very, very provocative stories about the relationship she played years ago when Bill Clinton had to deal with the allegations about women when he was running for office. I think if she was running against a normal candidate, people would think we were extraordinarily tough on her. In fact, she thinks we're extraordinarily tough on her.
Right. Let's talk a bit about how this election has, if you like, shaped coverage. The New York Times tries to be relatively impartial in its news pages.
Yeah.
Trump has challenged that, I think.
Yeah, he is. We've never seen anybody like him. I mean, we did something extraordinary a couple months ago where we actually accused him of telling a lie in a headline and actually used the word lie. And I decided to do it because I found that he so persistently lied. He so persistently and overtly. I mean, politicians fib, politicians exaggerate, politicians say things that are later, you know, disproven. But Trump was doing this extraordinary thing, and the turning point for us was the allegation that Barack Obama wasn't born in the United States. He literally lied and said he had never made a big deal of it, when he had also said he hired a private detective, and I just thought that was beyond the pale, and I thought we owed it to readers to not obfuscate and say that that was a lie.
So you've done it for Trump. He's told a lie, you've called it out in a headline and used the word a lie.
That's right.
Very unlike the New York, not a New York Timesy thing to do.
I can't think of another time when we've done it.
Let's suppose another Hillary-like candidate comes along and tells a fib. do you go back to the normal treatment of that, which is you probably question it in the article or say no evidence was offered for this particular proposition, however you would put it, or do you now, for all politicians, say it's a lie?
I think that Trump did something different. And I actually think we have changed, and I think we will do it for future politicians. His wasn't a fib. His was where he said vocally one thing Monday and it's something else different Tuesday, and it was a lie and it stretched out over time. I do think, to be frank, he changed us. I think it took us a little bit of time to start calling him out. And I actually think the next time it happens, we'll do it more quickly. I think we're different as a result of Donald Trump. I'm not sure what that looks like 5 years from now.
No, well, the problem I'll tell you you'll get into is that there will be people, you'll say, we're only doing it for these really clear lies.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Then there will be people who say, but this is a clear lie, and you'll have to then make a judgment. Is this a clear lie where we call it out as a lie?
No, that's
or
right.
is this what I would call a fib, which we don't call out as a lie? I mean, you could find yourself
when
entangled.
when we use the word lie in a headline, I have a standards editor, a senior editor reports to me. And he called me up the next day and he said, I agree with that. That was great. I hope you're not going to do this every day, right? So we won't do it every day.
I mean, one interesting thing is you do fact check Donald Trump. Well, you fact check everybody, but you fact check, obviously, the fact check tends
we fact check
to come
them both,
up.
pretty extensively.
To some extent, isn't the problem for you, for all of us who like facts and talk about them, the problem is that Donald Trump's politics are not about facts. People are not listening to the facts that are coming out of his head, and they're not judging him on the facts. They're reading the subtitles about, I support you, these people are not on your side, I'm on your side. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is, I'm going to be doing things for you rather than for the people who benefited.
To an extent, that's true, except don't forget he's behind in the polls. So some people obviously are, some readers, some Americans are fact-checking him. But I think most of what you're saying is true. I think Donald Trump has cast himself in this remarkable role. Here is a guy who says he's a billionaire, but he's running against, and he spent his whole life doing this, he's running against the elites. The elites include the leaders of the Republican Party.
The New York Times?
The New York Times. The elites, I mean, this is a guy who made his fortune building apartment buildings for people who probably could not have gotten into old money exclusive buildings. This is a guy who was born in Queens, where his father made his fortune, went to the big city, Manhattan, and in a weird way has been running against elites his entire business and now his political career. And that includes us.
But did you, the newspaper, like a lot of others, not only pinning on you, did you miss the story that there were going to be so many people who were receptive to that anti-elite message?
Yes. I don't think we missed the story. I disagree with those who say we missed the story of Donald Trump. I don't think we missed the story. I mean, people know a lot about Donald Trump. I think the story we missed, and the whole press missed, was just how much anger there was in the country over the economic crisis, over the disparity between the middle class and extremely wealthy in the United States. We missed it, though I have to say, it was easy to miss, and it may have taken a Donald Trump to put his finger on it and light it up, but I think we missed that story. And I think I come away from that with lessons about how to cover the country going forward.
We're trying to talk about Hillary Clinton today, and we've, of course, ended up talking about Donald Trump again. I want to finish on Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Do you think, as a president, she is someone who can unite the nation? After all this terribly bitter campaign, can America be healed within a year under a Hillary?
I don't think it's just on her. I think she, like Barack Obama, will try. I think a lot of it is on whether or not the Republican Party can take back the percentage of voters Donald Trump took away from them. I think a lot of it depends on whether Democrats are willing to let go their dreams of Bernie Sanders and a more left-leaning party. I certainly think she'll try. She's got to. I don't think it's up to her. I think there are all of these factions that are going to have to come together, and I think it's going to be tough.